edition, a new edition of what we call As a Matter of Fact. It is a new TV talk show discussion by myself, Mansa Musa. I'm going to host this, and I always say that, look, I sit in the captain's bridge and I'm driving this ship. Come and join me to sail the ship. And this is coming to you right here at the portals of Intitiepa TV, soon to be known as Home TV London. Tonight is the very first edition of this program, talk show. It's going to comprise of what I call mixed grill. I'm going to mix everything together because today is the very beginning. Anyway, you see me in my combative sort of attire. I'm dressed for battle, but don't be afraid. Don't fear at all. I'm not here to announce a takeover or anything. I'm not a brigadier somebody, so don't be worried at all. I'm wearing the uniform because tomorrow, tonight being or today being a eve of June 4th. And for those of you who don't know or understand the significance of that June 4th, that date, June 4th, if you are not a Ghanaian, most Ghanaians, or every Ghanaian should know this, but most Ghanaians know, and if you are not a Ghanaian, I will explain why June 4th, 1979 is very important in the history discussions of Ghana. This program will comprise, like I said, we will mix up so many things. We'll talk about so many: religion, sports, politics, social, even entertainment, anything. We are here. We are not only to entertain and to inform. We are here to educate ourselves. You educate me, and I entertain you. I want you guys to come and entertain me. Anyway, my producer has told me that he got the studio number, everything on the telly. If you've got the, what we call it, the link, you can watch it on Facebook or on YouTube. Then as the program goes on, if you feel you have anything today, the lines can come in anytime. You can come in and have your say or, contribute to whatever I've got to say. In some few moments, but if we are lucky, the luck of the draw, if we are able to contact some or get some contacts in Ghana, we will have discussion with one or two personalities in Ghana. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about June 4th. Why June 4th came about. You, as a Ghanaian, understand very well June 4th, what happened, 1979. Obviously, it started with May 15th. A group of soldiers, young soldiers, started what is called mutiny, wanted to overthrow the government, a military junta, or junta, as they say, in Ghana. They failed on May 15th. You see, I just want to go through, I don't want to bore you with the long history and details. But May 15, the uprising failed. Then these group of soldiers were sent to face the military tribunal. At the tribunal, it so happened that the leader of the mutiny, Flight Lieutenant Rawlins, may God put him somewhere safe, he's now passed on. He stood up to say that, look, he actually organized everything, and that his people, as they say, let my people go, and I will face the music on my own, because perhaps he explained to the gathering at the tribunal that he actually put the ordinary soldiers through that and that they should be left alone. This actually inspired a lot of other soldiers who were present at the time. Inadvertently, it engineered some sort of likeness. A coup plotter tend in instance to be an inspiration to most soldiers. So it so happened that in the early mornings of June 4th, 1979, Flight Rawlins was released from the military prison He was taken to the broadcasting house in Ghana, in Accra, to announce a coup, a revolution. And I have to say that at that time, the revolution was very popular. When I say popular, yes, people liked it. Civilians especially. I personally, I was a young guy in my teens. A place in Bemakam called the Nicholson Stadium, or Nicholson Football Park. There was a concert, and I remember Nana Kwame Ampedu, Ambule, and host of Ghanaian, local musicians and artists came to play for free to energize the soldiers and wish them on. I remember the mantra as let the blood flow. Well, it's a bit chilling now. With a bit of hindsight, you think, it wasn't proper for people to say that. But that time, like I said, the revolution, so to speak, was very, very, very popular. So June 4th, in a way, we should have been able to say, yes, it was the time that the system, the society was cleansed or cleaned, and things that were not right in society were put right. Unfortunately, we cannot boldly say we have achieved much from June 4th, what happened all those years ago. But, like I say, today is June 3rd, tomorrow is June 4th. The ideals, what brought about June 4th, what made these young soldiers to rise up against military officers, those problems, the things that made them take arms, those things are still happening. Even Ghana is in a worse state now. When you talk about corruption, those days we call something kalabule. Now it's not kalabule. Now it's actually chamina mincha. Somebody want to suck your blood. I mean, it is. Anyway, we'll come to all this discussion, but that is about the brief story of June 4th. Tonight, I will invite one former Minister of State under the Mahama administration. And we will talk a little bit about June 4th. But specifically, the reason I want to interview this fellow is that for those of you Ghanaians, recently we've heard news about, what item land grab, that is. Government lands, official lands in Accra and elsewhere, apparently being shared by top aficionados or government officials are selling this land cheaply to themselves and everything. It's so sad, really. So much so that we have one forest reserve. Accra is, I will say, lies on the plain. It is Accra and its surroundings doesn't have big forests, proper jungle and so forth. But early in the 20th century, very early, and that's in the 1920s, the then colonial governors decided to put up a school, which has become the Achimota Secondary School. And for doing that, they wanted to do it a boarding school. They have to house students and everything. So they needed firewood to cook food and everything. So inadvertently, they decided, okay, that bush around where the Achimota, where they have put up a school, or they have put up a new building, and they want that forest reserved so that they will use the wood and the sticks and everything in that reserve for cooking and the rest. So move on up to middle of the 20th century, that is 1980s, 1990s, and the rest. It has become a very thick forest. And now, government has, since its inception, it has become what we call a forest reserve. Now, recently, we heard the news that apparently the government, not apparently, but the government of Akufo-Addo want to remove that classification of forest reserve, want to take that classification off. And that really started people started thinking, but what is it for? After all, if the peripheries of that forest is being used for some official sort of construction here and there, fine. But to say that part of the forest is going to be declassified as a forest reserve, people started, thinking, oh, this isn't right and everything. So I want to invite this gentleman to come and explain their part, that is the NDC's part in all this, that what started as a family which purportedly owned that land, which was acquired by the colonial government and supported later by the Nkrumah government and everything. Apparently, that land belongs to a family, and that family felt hard done by. If I say hard done by, they feel cheated, that they have not been compensated enough. So they wrote petition here and there, left, right, and center, asked government to return for compensation or something, or give them part of the land. This has gone on for a while, and obviously, I will speak to that honorable gentleman later. But for now, producer, if we can go on a small commercial break, then when we come back, everything will become quite clearer. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I will be back.
Tap, and stand. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap, and send. Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
We are so baby no for na so man hwa wo de bo pay man wo na kan hu say wo do to abro so wo ton yem ensa nya dwuma no enidi ITS Pro Center me de me fan ITS Pro ayese say bia ya ye tete nkrofo ye ma SIA license na betimi de euro security na wo de akopa adwuma wo hwe se de na nkofo adwuma sai na wo nya adwuma ba bia me kan fama wo aye ITS Pro Center. What any better amount here? Now on certificate. Eti adetina esa wo tena na aka chem se wonya adwuma ye. ITS Pro Training Center no. Enya SI nkwa na ye o. Ye CSCS card so aka ho. CSCS card nso no. Just one day training pep. Na wo wie nso a unsa besa aka health and safety certificate nso. Enti what why dey? Eti hwankrofo agyina ho yi. Omo wie omo training. Omo akwakosha adwuma se wo site. Etimi no me for. Moti wo ye den. Enne ya wate me kan. Bomodia na frey. Awa sa numbers we so. 079 04 68 6944. 079 04 68 6944. Bomodia na frey ne ya. ITS Pro Training Center. Address. Enti amfa wo se wo ye oba. Mo so betimi awura construction and security. Enti wo de frey na ye ka wakasa. Yes, out of Cassanso. Training center we. Nasaki training center we. Yeah, with some certificate. Now you're going to Juma.
Tap, and stand. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap, and send. Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
We are so poor, baby. No, for a so man, would you pay money? Now, can we say, would you to abroad so tell him? And sign that man any ITS Pro Center. ITS Pro Center, me find it is pro. I just say, be a ya teaching crop for your mount SIA license. Now, but with your security, now they are compared you. Who just said your net and go for Eduma sign no one yet, baby, American farmer, ITS Pro Center. And what any better amount here? Now on Saka certificate. It's the other thing as I was trying to catch up so near my ITS Pro Training Center. No, and yet as I inquire you, yes, CSCS card, so I can't. CSCS card, so just 1 day training pep. Now, we use one Sabasaka health and safety certificate, so and do it why day. And if you are for a Jawi, or maybe on training. Almost aqua shag master site. It's been a mega for what you wire day. And then I want to make a Bomodia Nafray. Our son number is 079 04 68 6944 079 04 68 6944 Bomodia Nafray in the year. ITS Pro Training Center. Address. And the found was over your bar. But so bet me a rock construction and security. And to the praying. Na ya kan kasa ya sa ta kasa so training center we na sa training center we tu ya we sa ka certificate na on ya ko yi ajuma.
Welcome back to Us a Matter of Fact. That is the title or the caption of our show, this political talk show or current affairs. It can even be just entertainment talk show hosted by myself with my able lieutenant, producer, and manager, Don, the big Don Marcus himself. Anyway, so yes, as a matter of fact, you see, if and when you want to call the studio, you can tell me as a matter of fact what fact you really want to know or what you want to talk about. Mr. Let me hand over this to my producer to see if he can do something about it whilst I try to conjure this. Anyway, so tonight we are discussing everything, including everything. We will discuss what we call a mixed bag. You know, things like religious intolerance. Recently, Semobe Kaya, recently in Nigeria, you see Afnebi Eurabebi, Akokan Assembly Tia Reverend, no, yeah, Reverend, but rather Muhammad, Imam, Chief Imam Muhammad. Emma no huntino yekum abayuano. The religious intolerance that is happening in so many countries, especially in Africa. And coming to think of it, you know, when you read history, history will let us believe that civilization actually started all the way from, or with Islam, from the Middle East. So if civilization started from all these areas, I don't know how we can say we are civilized. If today, 2022, people will chase a woman and kill her for saying something they don't like about their religion. So religious intolerance, we'll talk about it in details. Then we will talk about police brutalities. What I've observed is that I don't know, Samin Kwao. What is it with police and black people? Almost everywhere, police need black people. Say police for no brofumo, so before. Every time the police and black people, they don't see eye to eye. Even more so in Africa. In Africa, the police, they kill blacks like they don't matter. Recently, Misha News, one of the television stations in Brazil, that romantic place, they be a kind of football and a nice and Ronaldo, now we. Police people arrested somebody for not wearing helmet whilst riding a bike. Team, you know, they tie him, they tie his sons, everything, and put in the boot of a car and open tear gas on him. So imagine he was in the boot, his legs were outside, they opened the tear gas for him to die. Slow, painful, because he's black. America, for that one, I don't need to remind you. But the irony is that even in Africa, if blacks should wake up, black youth, say, omo kwa demonstration kakra. Oh, ne bullet is soon. I don't know why. I don't know how we arrive at this. Say, the police and black people don't meet. They don't match. Even when they are in the black country. Me call South Africa and say, oh, blacks in this row. Omo ye chobe kakra. Hey, ni ekunkum bebre. Nigeria, hey, ni ekunkum. Ghana, I mean, as for Ghana, you know what is happening in Ghana? The government is going about with certain information package, which is okay, against terrorism. Ghana government is saying something like, if you see something, say something, which is okay, which is right, isn't it? But it's bound to fail. You know why? It's funny. Because in Ghana, it is now becoming, we are at a stage where when the police arrest somebody, people want to resist the arrest because your chances of coming back, alive is now very slim. I'm not exaggerating. Because we had instances in Ghana, now say case be a metie, so obinimu na almost say, hey, police need to me kasa we ya me boat wekum. Yebusame America say armed robber. So if government is telling Ghanaians, if you see something, say something. Me, Mansa Musa, I'm sitting down here, I'm thinking, exactly what do we have to see and what do we have to say? I mean, tell us, Ghana, for what do you have to see? Because Ghana needs in the chrome. That's somebody will be arrested in his bedroom. Police can come and arrest somebody lying on his bed. Say they suspect him of doing something wrong. They will take him away. His mother will go to the police and actually go and see him sitting down, writing statements. Then after 3 weeks, nothing. After 3 weeks, they say the fellow is dead. How did he die? The police, he was leading us to a crime scene. And some armed robbers, some other bad guys started shooting. The bad guys, none of them got shot. None of the police got shot. Only the fellow who was arrested got shot. And this is not number one. This is not the first time. So those people, those victims, ebusiafo no omo lose omumba, people police for kunkum on there no. For them, they don't know the difference between that and terrorism. Because in Ghana, you see people, look, I'm Mansa Musa, I used to be with the commando group, right? Obviously, we are all Ghanaians, and even that time we had some bad nuts, some crooked ones amongst us. But the difference is that in my day, in our day, when you do something silly, you do one-man operation and you are caught, what we call Kojo Chikata will not let you go. Kojo Chikata will not let you go free. Even though you belong to the system, the security setup, they will punish you. I have some of my mates, they spend whatever years in Sawam prison. But now, in Ghana, also no ID card, no unity, national security, giddy. So, for instance, one number be this table. That's what be the money and also me national security. And you national security, what have you seen? You have seen national security. What are you going to say? Knowing very well that even things that happen, some incidents, and the police hierarchy will come and say, oh, some Crawford, we don't know where they came from. If I have to remind you, remember the Ayawaso saga, that thing. The police said that they didn't know the unit that, those people who came to shoot some directly at people and some in the air caused that huge commotion. The police said they didn't know where they come from or where they came from. Until with that, how would you say, Ghana no ye baby, if you see something, say something. The society, the system, it's so porous, it's not solid enough. In Ghana today, people don't know the proper police, the proper military, then armed robbers. You see, the dangerous thing is that we have genuine armed robbers, crooks. Then now, we have people who have infiltrated into the police, and now they too are helping the armed robbers, or they themselves are doing armed robbery. So between the proper bad people who are armed robbers and the police who are also armed robbers, then somebody called a terrorist. How do you differentiate them? How do you tell people from a village that when you see something, say something? We will talk about it as time goes on in due course. In due course. But now, I don't know if my producer is ready with any of our guests in Ghana, but we are waiting, because of technology. Sometimes, I have internet problems since it's there were one or two people I see in your especially Honorable Inusa Fuseni, or a former a minister for lands and mineral resources in Ghana during the Mahama days. So hopefully when the internet and everything is going on nicely, we will let you, my producer, be try to in the dinkomo. So, like I say, every weekend, I don't know how many times we can do this a week. But like I said, we have so many discussions we are going to have and so many topics. Then also, ebedu mbribia, yebepe NPP, NDC, and sometimes PPP or other people to come here they will be here in the studio to help us discuss. And no, enye monologue, enye minkwa, ebeye omo a debate, ombe argue or they will discuss issues that are happening in Ghana. So that one too will come on. Then on some occasions too, I tell you what, ubenya either sports personality and also entertainment personality. Ombeba abetraha and also you know ombe dinkomo. Many okase many the managers of this young man Takrady guy or tunyum kama or say Radima Bejisti ano na mabu Kofi Kinata. That is thank you, Mr. Producer. Kofi Kinata menene ya arrangement is obeba na ye dinkomo. Another young man be so Takrady friend Kofi Swat or the Kwesi Swat. Otunyumpa and those guys are Adangba the auto your friends say but other musicians basso program way it's not only about politics or current affairs but entertainment also sports as well emrepemuno ye de sa microphone beba emeye bedi nkomo like I said many your friend is saying Miss Mary Gardner on here NDC for women's organizer with UK any Arabi ni diankasa hobet ni nickname ya dachi hima on also your NPP for recently na ya electing as a women's organizer for NPP UK minimum beba aha ni nyina ye bedi nkomo na ebeka all about Ghana politics the ekoso buying of votes. I mean recently there was how do we call it? The primaries, parliamentary or not parliamentary, but the NPP primaries, regional primaries. Say ye chairman, executives near the idea, and the monies that has changed hands. I don't get it. Why have we accepted Sebia? Bibia no a yemfa say yesua efi abrofo no ho no yesua ye ni differently na ye ni differently say ka ye ni yempo a nka me de me nkasa mashara na make twi because me fere say me ka abrofo no hu say sabi ye gimi kakra me sira mo fa njem na ye no kure because me ntiase say obi pa assemblyman dia na so op party chairman aye na o spending yemfa say ikrom hakra na yemfa say roughly £100,000. It's too much. The internet so be spending sasika to gain that position. Se nipa kro no ebe sumo sumo no be bra ofu say ebe taking the time taking the time cry from his business near the idea. Why will he pay such huge monies? Because on him say obenya sa tumi no a ni koko aso. On him say onya sa tumi no a ne hawo nyina asa ne busuafo ndi hia biom che say Ghana ye more political appointment I to say when the lotto na nkrofo etutu white kentene entumandwira ene na che ye bo se ne de drums di wachi we wini no yes we wini political say bia your friend is saying that political your friend say to me and I say responsibility how the be you when your chance I would be wia buying of votes you beka wasem already no menya kan about the policing in Africa, policing in Ghana. Now program way anytime you obey to me fresh no bar as a matter of fact. Now they are starting to come. As a matter of fact, before break. As a matter of fact, Africa politicians omu die. As a matter of fact, that's why I make a fact. Imagine, we have me car somewhere in Trewo. Me say that a mixed grill. And you know, you train your guests if you are crap. But before me bano, imagine say, African, you know, young fans say, young fans say politicians now African, you know, young fans be roughly about, let's say, 20,000 politicians. Some politicians see about 15,000 every year, omuko holidays. In the fans, 15,000 politicians, no more holidays, you know. Say be a politician be wo Kenya or Connie holidays wo Gambia. Politician be wo Guinea or Connie holidays or maybe Mozambique. Politician be wo fan say Nigeria or Connie holidays or maybe Tunisia. Politician be wo Tunisia or Connie holidays or fan say maybe it say Gabon. Inti politicians no what your friend is saying Ghana no any Africa ho nyina nka omo edi omo dollars ni pound sterling ni sefa ni omo your friend say euro currencies no if they spent it locally in African countries imagine how much money Ghana for ebenya and your friends African local your friend economy no imagine how it would have your friend is saying it would have improved. But African politicians, they all have their holidays in Europe, in the Americas. Those who are going to seek medical help, big, huge amount of sums of monies, and Africa for, apart from the stolen money, clandestinely, they ship across to Europe and America. Apart from that, their own genuine monies, Say fan senka, maybe so many tourist attractions in Africa. And yet, African politicians don't want to know. They get the money, they go to Europe and they go to America. Go and spend. Africa, me want to be oh, next week, maybe London. Oh, next week, will be about London, or be a conference. Into Sikanu, no. Tiha. The Sika, send tap, me boy. Me producer, tap for no, almost sponsor AB. Very good. Into ya, be tap on the fan film. This tap no, send Sika Koganda. Kakrano. See, it amounts into what? It amounts to billions. If I say West Africa, the money they stipend and now say Sikaye Seni Kofi. Then the same amount of money or even double that, your politicians, put back to Europe. It doesn't make sense. All these things, as time goes on, look, you can specifically you be here to honey akamunsem. Me I'm not impressed. Say Africa president and now say vice president. Say bani say president and now vice president Yare. Now Yare say unique. Say Yare bia yen to me and son of Africa hobebia. Say any day Sebi we can understand that. Say certain disease and illness be it needs some special, specialist somewhere, Metias. But the fact is, look, let me give you an example. Recently, the Ghana Speaker of Parliament, he didn't cause it Dubai, baby, to go and do medical checkup. And the leak, Sikano, of course, Ghana politics, acquire partisan. And so he, the speaker, comes from the side of the minority. Until somebody wanted to embarrass him small. But what they brought, to me, over $600,000 for medical checkup. Medical checkup, Ghana, independence over how 60 years old. Speaker of Parliament, need specially what Ghana obetumi the medical checks. So he had to go to somewhere very far to go and spend that money. And he is not alone. So I am not overly impressed and as a grateful say African politicians. Anyway, you better discuss this in details, but for now, no, we have to go to Accra. Now we'll be joined by, I think, Honorable Inu Safuseni is ready for action. Minamete Captain's Bridge, I'm driving this ship, but I think he's also very ready indeed. For those of you watching, I said, don't be afraid. I'm not here to announce a takeover. But just because today is 3rd of June and tomorrow is 4th of June, June 4th, for those of you who are not Ghanaians, I've told you the story, the uniqueness of that date. If my producer and the technical team are ready, we'll go to Accra and say hello and welcome to Inu Safuseni, Honorable. Good evening. Yes, sir. I can only hear music. I wonder if Inusa Fuseni can hear me. Inusa, can you hear me? My producer is saying... I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes, I can also hear you. I hope our listeners can also hear us. Anyway, welcome to Ntitiepa TV.
Thank you. How are you?
I am very well indeed. The fact that today is June 3rd, it's all very beautiful and a bit of nostalgic.
Yes.
But at the same time, not very happy because it looks as if the ideals, the reason for June 4th, Ghanaians didn't, it looks as if we didn't learn anything. Anyway, we invited you here today to discuss something specific, but because it's a June 3rd and you are from that side of politics, let me ask you this. June 4th, where were you? I was in my teens. I know exactly, I remember exactly where I was. Where were you on June 4th, 1979?
June 4th, I was writing my O-levels at Beliligo Secondary School.
So how did the writing go? Did it disturb you? Did it affect you?
It was good. That's why I have from there I went to Baka Training College. I wrote privately and went to the University of Ghana, and now I'm a lawyer.
Good.
So after Baka Training College, I taught for some time, wrote privately, and went to Legon, and now I'm a lawyer. So I went well.
Brilliant. For those of you who have just tuned in, that is Honorable Inu Safuseni. He was the former Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources in Ghana under the Mahama administration. So you were writing your O-level, so about the same age. I was in technical school too. I think I had done technician, City and Girls technician part 2 or part 1, I've forgotten, but yeah, we were all young boys, weren't we? So how did you, I was a Barras boy, that time I lived in Flagstaff House with my dad. How did you receive it? How did you hear it? Was it a nuisance? Because after all, that time we were going to change from military regime to a civilian governance. How did you welcome?
So June 4th, when it came to us, it was like, the military are at each other again. Because, Achampong came overthrew the Liman administration in 1972. And then...
You mean Achampong overthrew the Buzia?
No, Buzia administration. 1979. No, when did Achampong Buzia?
72. Buzia. Achampong overthrew Buzia in 72.
Achampong overthrew Buzia in 1972.
Yes. I was in elementary form 1.
Yes, I think I was also in form 1. Because I went to secondary school in 74, which was in form 2.
Okay.
Or I was in P6 or something, I don't know, but other P6 or form 1. But what happened was when Achampong overthrew Buzia, he stayed in for a very long time. He tried the union government concept, and he he failed at the union government, and then Akufo was part of his the Supreme Military Council. Then there was a palace coup. So Akufo, FWK Akufo, took over from a champion, and then Rawlings came in 1979 to overthrow that regime. Now, so when in 79, actually, we just saw that the military were at it again. But we supported the coup d'etat because many things had happened. There was rampant corruption in the system. You remember the missing cocoa on the seas. You remember how state resources were abused with impunity, how Ghana Airways was run down. You remember the fishing corporation. There was somebody in charge of fishing corporation who had managed it to the extent that it collapsed. And so when Rawlings came, actually as a Form 5 student who was studying government and history at the same time, what actually got us to support the end of the military's involvement in politics was simply that Rawlings had said he was coming to clean the staples. He was coming to ensure that the military would return to the barracks, that it was not the duty of the military to be in government. That things had become so bad that we had things like Fawutuba Golf. Kalabule actually is a lexicon that developed during that time. Nobody knew what Kalabule was. Things were so difficult that even salt, to buy sugar, you had to go and say that you were looking for salt, and they will produce sugar for you.
I remember. Yes.
I was sufficiently grown by then, and it was just difficult. And people could buy diesel, kerosene in gallons and go and sell at exorbitant prices.
Yes.
There were queues at the fuel stations. You could queue 2-3 days with that fuel. So it was really difficult. So when he came and said, look, I don't think that the military have any business in being in politics, and that those who have mismanaged the country up to that extent should be held accountable for it. Most Ghanaians were frustrated with the military. Many Ghanaians were not happy with the turn of events. Many Ghanaians thought that those who brought our country to its knees must be held accountable. And that was why students, even though I was in the lower ranks of students, students actually supported the process. Students were at the forefront.
Exactly. I was telling my viewers and audience before you came in, told them that, you know, that particular uprising was very, very popular, because I remember I think a week or a month after the initial uprising, most or many Ghanaian musicians and artists gathered at Bema Camp, a place called Nicholson Park, to play music, to entertain. I mean, Nana Pedu was there, Ambule was there, a host of them. And we had civilians, you know, going on with that mantra, let the blood flow and everything. I mean, it doesn't sound correct now, but it was very popular. Now, you said Rawlings said he was coming to clean up the system. Why is the system, we can all agree, is so very dirty now? Why? We haven't learned anything at all?
Come back to always. You needed sustainability. You can't just clean it. It's not a touch and go thing. Cleaning the system requires change of attitude. Cleaning the system requires a new crop of leadership. Cleaning the system means you must imbibe in the people the sense of duty and patriotism. Cleaning the system means that people must feel more Ghanaian. And the purpose in politics must be to look beyond yourself, to posterity. You must be there to change the lives of people, not your own life. And so that is why I think we didn't do well on that level. We didn't do well. And so
Well, if you say we didn't do well, look, in any case, 8 military officers were sacrificed for that. Okay. A lot of people lost their livelihood. You know, it was a cleanup. It was a necessary something we had to pass through. Why couldn't we sustain it? Because, look, if you have read a lot, almost every country from France to even in Britain, Soviet Union, France, America, they all had to pass through certain sort of, if not a revolution, some sort of uprising to clean up. And they learn, they change their ways according to where they've come from. We, as if nothing actually did happen. We are rather frowning upon that ideals or those ideals. Why?
Just like I have said, every country has a history. So even in America, the British were the colonial masters of the United States of America. So the American Revolution was that they came to the conclusion that they would not be under the control of anybody. They must control their own destiny.
Sure.
They revolted. William the Orange is there for the United Kingdom. And even the fact that ordinary people in the United Kingdom decided that they can't be paying taxes, and then they won't have a say in government on how their taxes are used.
Hello. It looks like our guest has gone frozen.
The
somehow.
whole system, parliamentary system of government springs out from the fact that ordinary people, I've not gone frozen, I'm speaking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. Go
Can
ahead,
you hear me?
please. Go ahead.
So you have the case of William the Orange. You have the Bill of Rights. And these were ordinary people who just rose up and said, no, the status quo cannot continue to exist. We must change it. And that government must spring from the will of the people. You have the French Revolution and the storming of the Bastille. So you clearly, every country, I mean Japan, you go to read about the history of Japan, you will see that once upon the time in their history, people stood up against injustice. I mean, look at the American case of segregation, the bus rights. Rosa Parks decided that she would stand up against that great injustice done to people of color. And that changed the system. So yes, but in changing the system, there must be consistency. There must be a follow-up. People must be prepared not to go back. Never again will they go back to the system in which they stood against. And so you must build institutions in such a way that those institutions can withstand the test of time. I think that's
anyway, as things stand today as we speak, the youth, even though I've heard that they have messed things up a bit, they want to stand up to be counted. Let's hope they will keep the fire burning. Let me also, before we go...
they fix the country, people?
Yes. I know they've messed up a bit.
When I read their letter, I was taken a little aback.
Yes, it's strange as to how sensible youth people like that, or Oliver, I'm a bit so, but I don't want to dwell on it. Everyone makes mistakes. Knowing very well that already the police and the hierarchy, they don't want this to happen anyway. So if you bring yourself and you shoot yourself in the foot like this.
Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa, that's what. If you bring yourself, if you unwittingly play into their hands, they will milk you.
That's it. Yes.
Let me ask you about some things before we go on to the main reason I called you, and that is something we call mob rule. Recently, we had a case in Nigeria where apparently a young lady have said something which is not palatable to some religious people, and they actually lynched her, burned the body. I mean, that's so primitive, so bad, so brutal. But it did happen. Then some of us were thinking, oh, these things won't happen in Ghana or something like that. Then recently, we heard that some young people, as they do, as we all do or did, if in our day there was mobile and those things, maybe we'll be doing the same thing. But whatever happened, some people, a man and a woman had sexual encounter. It appeared on video, video leaked, and now these people were paraded in public to be lynched or whipped, to be beaten, to be disciplined. What do you say to all this?
Well, first of all, you know, as a lawyer, I will not for the life of me support mob justice, or what we call instant justice, especially in the case of Nigeria, where it was an expression, an exercise of a freedom of expression, an exercise of a right, okay? And so far as that exercise was within the confines of the law. Why will anybody think that, I mean, Nigeria, for God's sake, is not a religious country. It's a secular country. Nigeria is a secular country like Ghana. And people must have the right to express their views on matters that concern them, or matters that clearly are of public interest. And so why some people arrogate to them the power to subject a person who has expressed his views to such levels of brutality, which can result in the loss of life, is difficult to comprehend.
Difficult to comprehend.
I mean, I always say that I'm still a religious person, but I always say that it seems our religious leaders don't take lessons from God. We read in the Quran, we read in the Bible how Satan rebelled against God. God is all powerful, but he didn't subject him to instant justice. It says that there will be a day of reckoning. And we are even told that he granted him the power to come to earth and see whether he can convince people to join him. And we are being warned that if we join the path of Satan, we held accountable on the day of judgment. I don't think our religious leaders believe in the day of judgment. If God himself has been so tolerant to accept a rebel and not subject that rebel to instant justice, why do we think we human beings must arrogate to us ourselves the power to determine whether someone is fit to exist? Why do you think so?
Sure. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Because the God that we worship admits that Satan is an arch enemy. But he didn't subject it to instant justice, and he has power.
Apart from that, what happened in Wa? Apparently, we are hearing the double speak. One sort of information is that the Wana gave the orders. Another say, oh, he didn't know anything about it. Whatever it is, I think you would agree with me that the police will have to go to the bottom of this. And for this, I have to commend the Wa local police chief. I've forgotten his name. He actually came on air to say that he's going to go to the bottom of it, and people, we saw, because look, I've been, before you came here, before you came in, I was saying that the police, something is happening in Ghana where police arrest you and you don't come back and they say you are being killed, and that is different. But where they are doing something right, we got to commend them. Do you agree that those who actually did this lynching or whipping or beating, they must be found, irrespective of the mob who are resisting or asking the police to release anybody? The police have to stand on their feet and make sure those people are brought, the law takes its course. Do you agree to that?
I don't always subscribe to ex facto rationalization of the action of police. I don't subscribe to that. Modern policing is proactive. So a video was released. The whole matter was not instantaneous. People sat down and thought about it. People planned it. Led others to go and look for the woman, or the couple, or the parties involved. Paraded them on the streets. Brought them to a central point around the One House Palace. Tied them to stakes. Gathered and started subject those who were tired because of the beating, and bringing in new people who were fresh to continue with the beating. And all this the police did not know. They did not hear. They did not see.
A host of questions there
that's
to
why
ask.
I don't subscribe.
Yeah, but at least for now, if they say they are going to look for,
Ex facto. The people have been beaten.
Yes.
Publicly ridiculed. Their lives will never be the same again.
It is, it is very dangerous, because I also read recently that a girl who was also a student, who was also, they did something of that nature and it leaked. That girl has actually committed suicide. So
yes.
It is very true that these people are going to suffer, if we don't take that the rest of their lives. What do you think? What do you think this the system should do to them or do for them? Now that we don't even have the minister for gender and blah blah blah, she is somewhere else. How can the government help these two young people?
First of all, we need education. Sex is a private activity. It's private. It's not public. That's why when two people are engaging in sex publicly, we arrest them for an offense of indecent assault. Or when they are walking on the streets naked. There's a law that prevents it, even though in some jurisdictions in the Western Hemisphere, people can now walk naked, nudity, in some areas. But in Ghana, it's an offense. It offends the sensibilities of Ghanaians to see somebody walk naked. So indecent assault, that is a misdemeanor though.
Yeah, but it is the law that have to deal with it, not individual mobs.
Not individuals. Nobody has the power to arrogate to himself the power to pronounce somebody guilty of an offense and the power to exact that punishment. When Montesquieu wrote his thesis about the separation of powers, this was exactly what he sought to prevent: tyranny.
Prevent tyranny.
Tyranny of the masses.
I tell you what, we need to come to the real issue. And my producer is telling me 1 minute to put in our advertisers' message. So just hang in there, don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you in a minute.
We are so probably no for Canada, so my cow. Would you pay money? Now, can we say, would you 12 bros? I would tell him. And sign that man any ITS Pro Center. ITS Pro Center. Me, find it is pro. I just say, be a ya teaching crop for your mount SIA license. Now, but with your security, now they are compared you. Who said your net and go for Eduma sign no when you're
1 minute is so quick. It's gone already. Honorable Idus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. If you are ready, I am ready. Now, the reason I called you is about the recent hula baloo, hoo ha ha, the recent news and information that Akufo-Addo's government want to declassify remove the classification of this Achimota Forest Reserve, part of it. And that, has actually, it's like it has brought to the fore Ghanaians' senses that, what is going on? Even though we know a long time that certain lands, government lands public lands are being sold, shared, or something. But this forest issue has brought it has highlighted the Ghanaian psyche on how governments have not treated our lands or have done things unfairly. I will come this in stages. Let me start here. When you took over as lands and minerals minister, what did you come to meet with regards to this particular issue? Achimota Forest Reserve issue. What did you come to meet?
So, Mansa Musa, I became a minister of the lands and natural resources of Ghana in January 2013, and I lived over 1.5 years. Mansa Musa, to be able to follow the conversation on Achimota Forest, it is important to start from the beginning. And for your listeners to appreciate the context within which we are speaking. Achimota School, the land on which acquired in 1921 from a family in Accra called the Owu family. That's what the historical document states. The College of Prince Prince of Wales College, which is now Achimota School. Now, when that land was acquired in 1921, another piece of land adjoining the school was acquired in 1927. At the time that land was acquired in 1927, the total acreage of that second piece of land acquired in 1927 stood at 4,905 hectares of land. Now, the purpose for the acquisition was to provide cheap fuel wood for the school and also provide a buffer between the school and the adjoining communities. So the communities that were coming up in Accra, Gamashi, and other areas, that land that was acquired was provided as a buffer. Now, the land that was acquired for the fuel wood was constituted into a forest in 1930. So Achimota Forest became a forest reserve under the laws of the country in 1930. Now, over the years, Achimota Forest, there have been encroachment into the forest. And if you are familiar with Accra, the Noga Hill Hotel, which is a very prominent feature on the Tema N1, on the N1, sits in the Achimota Forest. All buildings after the Noga Hill Hotel, Fiesta Royal, that is the boundary of the end of the Achimota Forest, as previously acquired. Some portions of the forest too was affected by the construction of the N1 highway.
Sure.
Now, in 2001, President Kufuor came into office, and 2006 or thereabouts, he decided that the Accra Central Business District was congested, and he wanted to take part of the land of the Achimota Forest and construct a second business district. The total land that President Kufuor wanted to take was 193 acres of the Achimota Forest for the purposes of returning part to the Owu family and the rest being used as a central business district. And in 2006 August, the Owu family had petitioned the President Kufuor, for a return of the land on the basis of the fact that they said compensation had not been paid to them. Kufuor's government signed a memorandum of understanding with the Owu family, represented by the Minister of Lands, Forestry, and Minerals then, Esther Obindapa, and the Owu family, for a return of 90 acres to them out of the 193 acres. But Kufuor's government did not implement or could not implement the memorandum of understanding reached between the government and the Owu family because the MPP lost the election 2000. Then enter Atta Mills. Now, when Atta Mills assumed the presidency of Ghana, because land issue in the 2008 campaigns were very prominent. You recall the International Students Hostel. The area that now houses the Minister of Foreign Affairs had been demolished. International Students Hostel had been demolished and petitioned and sold out to cronies and public and civil servants. You remember the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which had been bent. It was being parceled for sale to private developers. You remember the bungalows around cantonments, which were being sold to sitting tenants who were political appointees. And one of such cases even landed in court. You remember the Okujato and Honorable Okujato and Honorable Dr. Omane Buama sending Jacob Landry to court, challenging his acquisition of his bungalow. You remember that case? And so, when Atta Mills won the election 2008 and was sworn into office in 2009, he placed a ban on the sale or alienation of public land. So discussions were afoot on how, and also took back the land that had been given to political and civil servants, civil and public servants. And that's why we now have a Ministry of Foreign Affairs sitting on one such land that was taken back by President Mills. Now, discussions were also underway to see how public lands could better be managed. And so, in 2011, the government had decided that the best way to protect the Achimota forest was to constitute it or to convert it into an ecotourism facility. And those of you in London, you know the Hyde Park. Ecotourism facility will be in the nature of the Hyde Park. And those who travel to Ghana frequently, Eburi Gardens comes close. Or those who have attended University of Ghana, Legon Gardens.
So before we come to that proposal, what I want to know is, when you came into office, who actually met you as a representative of Owu family, or which of the Owu family rep actually sat down with you to engage with you, to explain, to give you their grievances that, okay, this is what we had, but because of certain problems here and there, we are not satisfied, or it is not enough. I want to know from there, how did you become involved personally, with whom? Who actually came forward to say they want the land?
I didn't meet the Owu family to discuss their grievances. I didn't. Because in 2009, the Owu family had petitioned President Mills. And in 2011 or so, they again petitioned President Mahama. 2012, they again petitioned President Mahama. A committee had been set up during the time of President Mills, headed by the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Mr. Afaradate, to consider the merits of their petition. and a report has been presented. So I didn't have any transaction dealing with the whole family.
Yes,
About
I totally agree with you, no transaction. But what I mean is, these people, at least they were human beings, those who petitioned, did you actually see somebody who said, look, I am the petitioner, I am bringing forward these documents on behalf of whom? Did you meet anybody at all?
No, not on that basis. No, because I was explaining to you to understand.
Oh, I think we've lost our guest. Surely we will get him back. You are listening to Mansa Musa. That this is, as a matter of fact, program coming to you right here from Intitier TV. Very soon, next time maybe even Sama come here, the name will change to Home TV London. So watch the space. We've just started discussion with Honorable Yunusa Fuseni. He was the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources. Them years, we've discussed a little bit about the June 4th uprising and whatnot. Now, though, we're just getting into the nitty-gritties of the so-called Owu family who had then petitioned the Kufuor administration, and again petitioned the Mills administration, and again petitioned the Mahama administration. So I personally, and I hope you also, my listeners, you are interested to know why or who actually okay. Sorry about that. We got a quick, there was a problem in the line. So, yes, so we'll get back. We have lost the Yunusa. We will get back to him very soon. Whilst I see, okay, Mr. Producer is waving his hand. If we can, yeah, I will be happy for us to go on a short break. We'll be back to continue with the discussion. Okay.
If you are so poor, baby, no for a so my cow, would you pay money? Now, can you say, would you 12 bros? I would tell him. And sign that man any ITS Pro Center. ITS Pro Center. Me, find it is pro. I just say, be a ya teaching crop for your mount SIA license. Now, but with your security, now they are compared you. Who said your net and go for Eduma sign no win Eduma. Baby, I make from our ITS Pro Center. And what any better amount here? Not on Saka certificate. And the other thing as I was trying to catch up so near Eduma. ITS Pro Training Center. No, and your SIA Nkwane you. Yes, CSCS card so account. CSCS card mention. Just 1 day training pep. Now we answer on Sabasa account health and safety certificate so. And do it why day. And if you are for a Jawi, I'm a young training. Almost aqua shag master site. It's been a for. What to why day? And then you want to make a Bomadia Nafray. Our son number is so 079 04 68 6944. 079 04 68 6944. Bomadiana Free in the year. ITS Pro Training Center. Address. And the found was over your bar. But so bet me a rock construction and security. And to the fraying. Naya Kawakasa. Yes, out of Casanso. Training Center we. Nasaki Training Center we. 2 years with some certificate. Now you're going to Juma.
Right, welcome back. We had a small technical hitch. We are discussing Achimota Forest issue with Honorable Yunusa Fuseni, who was the minister in charge of events those days. Minister, welcome back. Technology, sometimes we suffer this fate. But you were explaining as to how
Yes,
everything started.
exactly.
Continue if you can.
So let me say that. So 2012, the NDC brought out a manifesto. We said that we were going to convert the Achimota Forest into an ecotourism facility to be known as the Achimota Eco Park. And so in 2013 January, when I was sent to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, was to implement the manifesto of the NDC as regards lands and natural resources. So I was to clean the small-scale mining sector of illegalities. And you recall my fight against illegal small-scale mining, which resulted in the repatriation of or deportation of more than 5,000 Chinese nationals, 190 other Europeans, West African nationals who were doing illegal small-scale mining. That I was also, on the timber side, we were losing a lot of timber. I was also to ensure that the FLEG, the forest sector legislation, which will ensure that we track where wood is harvested and all those things. And then the Achimota Forest Convention. So the Afaridate Committee had produced a report and recommended that the Owu family be given 118 acres of the Achimota Forest as fair, adequate compensation. So I took the report and did a memo to Cabinet for the implementation of the recommendation of the committee. And Cabinet granted me authority to implement the recommendation of the Afaridate Committee by releasing the 118 acres of the Achimota Forest, the peripheral portions of the Achimota Forest, to the Afaridate, to the Owu family. So I wrote to the Forestry Commission to implement the recommendation as directed by the government, and that was it. And I am aware that informed us that they had given 118 acres to the Owu family. I set up a strategic development committee at the ministry headed by my able deputy, Barbara Sewa Asamoah, to see how we could implement the conversion of the Achimota Forest into an ecotourism facility.
Before we come to before we delve into the ecotourism part, you see, Honorable, I want to ask you this. You see, when I ask you if you ever did meet any of the Owu family or something, you see, now with hindsight, some chiefs, Osu chiefs and other kings have come to say, look, these Owu family so-called do not exist. Do you think in hindsight or with hindsight that government have been deceived? Maybe you were not aware, because if you didn't meet anybody, even the lawyer, those who are leading that petition, now it is apparently we are being told that those people don't exist. Do you think somebody have been lied to? Your government were lied to. Maybe Kufuor's government was lied to. Hello, Inusa. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
You are looking at the Achimota Forest, Achimota School. I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
We are looking, yes, we are looking at the acquisition of the land on which Achimota School sits. We are looking at the acquisition of the land which was constituted into a forest reserve. And historical documents clearly indicate that the land was acquired from the Owu family. It is not someone walking to your office to tell you that I'm the owner of the land. No. Compensation of £4,000 in 1921 was paid to the Owu family. So historical documents show that it was the old family.
But if that is the case, if really they were compensated, then why should they come for more? And if they wanted more, why didn't the government, both governments, decide that, okay, we will compensate in the form of maybe other land somewhere or even money, instead of saying, okay, we accept it, we have to give you part of the forest? I don't get it.
Let me explain to you why, to you to get it. I told you that the forest was 495 hectares. At the time I came into office, the forest was 365 acres. About 100 acres or more had been encroached upon.
Yes.
The question to ask is who encroached upon them? Who gave the encroachers legitimacy to encroach into the forest?
Sure.
That's the question to ask. So, as a government, we were looking at how possible, what was the possible way to stop the encroachment? What was the possible way?
Well, the possible way was to stop everybody who has encroached, including people who want the land back. We didn't have to give them. We needed to settle them somewhere.
So the possible way consistent with modern thoughts that the forest reserve in the middle of town, if you don't reduce it into possession, either you fence the whole forest or you convert the forest, you put the whole forest to use, consistent with the purpose for which the forest was established.
Anyway, are you still there? It looks like sometimes your system, sometimes you break down. I don't hear you. But
I can hear you. I hear you.
Okay, if you can hear me, let me ask. If you can hear me, what I want to ask is that, look, it's a forest. For me, I think, why do you think we should even touch it to make it eco-tourism? And apparently, you were looking for about $1 billion. We didn't need $1 billion to turn a forest which is naturally growing to make it what do we call it? Eco-friendly or something. What was the rationale behind that?
The rationale I've explained to you. Ecotourism was not going to disturb the forest, or the impact of development in the forest was not going to disturb the ecological integrity of the forest. Tourism facility is just keeping the natural settings of the forest while building eco-lodges, which will not disturb the ecological integrity of the forest. Doing a theme park where the grass, the trees, the arboretum, and all those places could be converted into green grass, trees, and whatnot, so that children can play around in the shades of the trees.
I totally get that, Mr. Former Minister. I get that. But my question is, why such huge money for that? Because honestly speaking, I heard you compare that to Hyde Park or what is the name for the New York Park? What is it? The Central Park in New York. I heard you say that. I've heard the present minister also say that. But for crying out loud, Hyde Park has never been a forest for the past 300 or 350 years. It's in the center of London. So if it's been modernized, beautified, Hyde Park, you won't see a lion. You won't see a python. You won't see anything. In fact, the only things you see at Hyde Park is maybe a bit of squirrels. So for an African country where we have so many of these, what do we call it, inner city slums, like Osu, like Jamestown, like Bukom, like Nima. If we are not going to find, say, 1 billion to build proper housing units for such area to remove slums, instead, 1 billion to go and disturb a forest. For me, I would say, with hindsight, Mahama's administration got so many things right. But in this, maybe luckily, it didn't come to it didn't transpire. But this idea is rather uncalled for. What do you say to that, Mr. Minister?
Well, you've gotten it all wrong. The Hyde Park was going to generate resources. I mean, Achimota Park was going to generate income. The park, as it is now, generates nothing. The forest generates nothing. It's subject to encroachment. So if we have succeeded, you come to Ghana, you are around the Legon area, Achimota area, Abilembe area, Newtown area. You want your family to relax. You want a natural setting. You take your family there to enter into the Achimota Eco Park. You have to pay. You have to pay. So it was, they have done the financials.
Yes, you see, I get the idea that you need to make it financially viable. I get it. But I can tell you that what you are proposing, you can do with $2 million. You can fence off part of the forest to save the animal themselves and also for the animals not to become dangerous to human beings. You can fence part of it. Then you put heavy metal gates, make thoroughfare, you get it up. Then as they do in Europe, you only allow seasonal workers or tourists. Then you employ park rangers, give them 4x4s to be manning the place. You don't need 1 billion to disturb that forest. That's what I mean. It is idea that can bring money. But you say, oh, you were going to look for 1 billion. If I was the president or I'm advising, I'm a minister, I would say, Mr. President, the best eco thing to do is to remove the slums in Jamestown, in Osu, and the one in Nima. Remove them, 1 billion. It will create a lot of proper housing with proper drainage, proper services. Why disturb a forest which can be turned into a jungle in the next 20, 30, 50, 100 years? Instead of using 1 billion to build something that if Mansa Musa come with the family to go there. I am saying that Hyde Park Corner or Hyde Park has never been a forest. And it is in the middle of the city. It's not like in what we have. Even the ones in Kenya, it's a savanna grassland with animals. What we have in Ghana is a proper forest. We don't need to touch it. That is my idea. I don't know if you agree.
When we say Hyde Park, like Hyde Park, we are not transporting Hyde Park to Achimota. When we say like what we have in Kenya, we are not transporting what is available in Kenya to Ghana. When we say like a Buri Park, we are not transporting a Buri Park to Achimota. We are looking at the concept. How do we tweak the concept to our benefit while protecting the forest?
Okay.
And like Obama said, presidents do not do one thing at a time. The fact that President Mahama was looking for resources to protect the Achimota forest by turning it into an ecotourism facility didn't mean that he was not doing drainages. He was not improving upon the social conditions in Nima and the swampy areas. Presidents don't do one thing at a time.
Well, to be honest with you, I will tell you that I said President Mahama got so many things right. But to tell me, Mansa Musa, that if you sit at the cabinet table, you say, let's get 1 billion to do eco-forest in Achimota. I think that 1 billion can do so many proper things for human beings. And that Achimota, $2 million can reshape the whole forest without even doing so much. And it will still bring profits. After all, as it stands, we are still getting money from the conservation organizations around the world anyway. But don't let us go into this argument. Let me end the conversation by asking you, what do you think should happen now? Now that Akufo-Addo government want to declassify it?
I have said that because of all these things that are going on, and especially concerns expressed by people like you, civil society organizations, and the fact that directed the Forestry Commission to implement the recommendations of the Afaridate Committee by giving 118 acres to the old family, the current Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is saying that while I was still in office, the number of acres granted the old family went up to 198 acres. Today, as we speak, it is 361.5 acres. We need to halt the process. We need to suspend the operation of EI 144 for us to understand exactly what is happening to the Achimota Forest. It has come to light that Sir John, who was not part of John Mahman's administration, and for who we never heard that Achimota Forest, any part of Achimota Forest had been degazetted for him to acquire, has put it in his will that he has land in the Achimota Forest. Probably what we are hearing is just a tip of the iceberg. And so that's why in my rejoinder to the minister's presser issued on the 24th of May, I said that I support calls for the suspension of the EI 144 degazetting declassifying 361.5 acres of the Achimota Forest. And I also call for the establishment of an independent investigative body to go into the matter to ascertain the state of the Achimota Forest and the truth behind the allegations being made by the current Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. So, yes, the concerns have been raised. I mean, the Ghana Institute of Planners have said, look, stop everything. Even peripheral portions of the Achimota Forest is part of the forest. So you don't need to give any peripheral portion to anybody. In fact, when we were returning the land or giving part of the land to the old family, we didn't give them because we had not paid compensation. We said on compassionate grounds. And so let's stop everything. I believe that this is a time to stop everything and go into, because government must exist for the welfare and interest of the people of the country. And if the people are speaking with such vehemence, the government must listen. Suspend the EI 144, establish an investigative body. A commission of inquiry will be the best to establish the truth of the assertions made by the minister.
Right.
And also
there is a question from a lady, I think from Medina. He said, I should ask you, do you work for or with Oseche Mansa Musa? That's her concern.
Oh, I don't work for Oseche Mansa Musa. I've heard this matter come up severally, and I'm surprised. I don't work for Oseche Mansa Musa. What happens is that I'm a former legislator. I was the former ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. I developed my capacity to do laws, to make laws for this country. And all laws that were passed between 2017 and 2020, I had inputs into those laws. Whether they came from the finance ministry, they came from whatever ministry. So the private members bill, we champion it for members of parliament or the general public to contribute into lawmaking in this country. And so when a private member's bill is filed, they refer the bill to me for my inputs to help clean the bill. Clean the bill before they can present it to Parliament. I don't work for Chief Minister.
Okay. That cleared. We have some about 4 or 5 minutes. The primaries for the MPP side have just finished, and all of us have seen what has gone on. I read somewhere that in Nigeria, one of their governors actually paid fake cash to obtain votes. He paid billions or hundreds of millions of dollars, but they were all fakes. Now, what I want to ask you is, the NDC primary will also come very soon. Is it going to be the same? People are going to pay for votes?
I've been working with the CDD Ghana to see how we can mitigate the effect of money in our politics. In fact, the problems that is confronting our democracy is more pervasive than meet the eye. We are unwittingly making our democracy the preserve of the rich. And we are by that introducing money laundering and making it possible for
sometimes Skype and Zoom, no, it happens like this, and
to hijack our democracy.
He's back.
It should be a concern. You need at least president of the country. You will need about $100 million. Tell me, which president, and how will the president come up with $100 million to run a campaign to be president? Some people will be funding it. In fact, the evidence suggests that political parties receive contributions from Galamsey operators, companies clearly engaging in transactions for which they have to pay tax. Some transactions might be under the board, or under the table. It's a dangerous phenomenon that we are being confronted with. No one, it seems to me, is asking the politician who is spending the money to win votes how he came by the money.
Why is it that no one is asking, given that the Electoral Commission has the power to intervene in this respect? Viewers and listeners, please bear with these things happen. We are having technical issues. Hopefully, we'll get everything intact to finish nicely with our. I think our guest is struggling to come back. I tell you, I can promise that next program to be much solid. I wonder if he's back now.
Yes.
So. Yes. Honorable, you are back.
Yes. So I'm saying that even the DRA is not interested in following up to see whether there is tainted money in our politics, or whether the people are paying the requisite taxes to the state if they are to engage in lawful activities, or what kind of work is giving these people such amounts of money to dissipate on political campaigns. So the CDC is doing good work, and I have to say that I'm part of it. We must salvage our democracy from kleptocrats. If not, our democracy will be on sale to people who have got the resources to buy. And they might include people.
Lastly, we have issues going on. We cannot talk without at least mentioning that. And that is the recent spat between the British High Commissioner and the IGP. Your party have got its own position. According to Sami Jemfi, I listened to him. He says they have been vindicated because now the foreign ministry has come in to calm issues. How do you see the whole scenario? How everything has panned out?
It's much ado about nothing. You see, our party's position is very clear. You see, the British High Commissioner is a human being. The British High Commissioner must have fellow feeling on how the police treat individuals. I mean, if you are in Britain and the police treat individuals, whether British or other nationals, in a way that is despicable, you will talk about it. It's about the fundamental rights of people. And so there is no caveat here. If the British High Commissioner tweets that our police are behaving in a way that is unacceptable and are keen to Gestapo, it's a call to the police to look at the ways that they conduct their or execute their mandates.
Others are saying that, well, even if the police have any issue, the process or the procedure, how they should go about it, how the IGP went about it was wrong. Do you have the same position?
The IGP?
Yes, that how he went about it was wrong.
Well, the IGP ought not to have responded to the British High Commissioner. He took the law into his own hands. The British High Commissioner is a foreign diplomat. If the IGP has reasons to believe that the foreign diplomat is interfering into the internal affairs of the police, the the IGP should first report to his sector minister, which sector minister will draw the attention of the Minister of Foreign Affairs to the alleged ingression, and then the foreign minister can then engage the diplomat or the diplomatic mission. But to respond directly is to arrogate to yourself the power to respond to diplomats.
Right. Listen, I will thank you. I'm very grateful for your time. Unfortunately, the time is against us. In fact, we've gone over the allotted time or space for me, but it is all worthwhile. Maybe we'll do it again another time. Lastly, before you go, people are saying that the issues at stake, there's no need for NDC, just for the sake of democracy, to go through the process, and that everybody knows that your lover boy, Mahama, everybody loves him, everybody wants him. The NDC people want him. Do you agree that it should just crown him instead of wasting time and money?
The middle name of our party is Democratic. That's why we are called NDC, National Democratic Party. That's the middle name. We believe that what concerns all must be decided by all. That people must be given an opportunity to express their views on who must be the leader of the party and who we can entrust with the responsibility of leading us to victory in the 2024 elections. I stand for John Dramani Mahama, but I will not prevent anybody from standing for somebody else because people assess people differently. and that is what democracy is all about. The only means that we have to use to aggregate views is the National Congress, where we go to select our leader. And when we go, we employ democratic ethos and methods in determining who leads the party. So, like John Dramani Mahama has said, nobody should be prevented from contesting the elections. Yes, there is a clamor for John Dramani Mahama to go unopposed. But going unopposed will mean that people should not be forced out of the race. Because that can bring about friction.
I think that is clear enough. I think democratically everybody will agree to. Look, our time is up. Thank you very much. And hopefully another time we'll have more time to discuss more pertinent issues. That was Mr. Honorable Inusa Fuseni. He was the former Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources, part of the hierarchy or the structure that had to take a decision on as to whether to give lands back or not. Thank you very much, and have a good evening, good weekend as well. Thank you very much. Right, so I think I can see the Honorable chewing something, maybe granite. Anyway, as for we here in London, that will be our lot for tonight. Hopefully, we'll come on again next week, either on Friday or on Sunday. Some people are suggesting that Sundays, I think I will be the only show in town. So maybe next week we'll be here on Sunday. And sometimes we may add another day or two to it. But going forward, bring all your trading and your commercials and everything to this television. It is loud, it is clear, it is entertaining, it's factual. And the program, as it's known, is as a matter of fact. So next time when I come here, I want you to come and tell me, as a matter of fact, what? As a matter of fact, I will tell you that our African leaders are not treating the African continent fairly at all. I don't like the way that hundreds of millions of our monies are shipped to overseas hospitals to go and look after our leaders, whilst the local people have to do with mediocre, rockety hospital and health systems. It's not right, it's not proper, it's not fair. The white people don't think like that. They look after their people, they look after their society, they have love for each other. We Africans, though, it looks as if each one for himself and God for the selected few. That isn't right. Ladies and gentlemen, as a matter of fact, I think we have spoken, and as a matter of fact, I'm sure you have listened. Let's make it another time. Pukuya!
Tap, tap, and stand. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people